Hey everyone, Steve here from PC Budget Solutions, and there's been probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 videos, maybe less, since I've been teasing the build log, so it's probably been about 2 weeks of just watching some interesting videos I've done in the last couple of days, and some unboxings and all that stuff, but it's here today. It is the build log day, Sunday, but we'll call it the build log day to say the least. On the chopping block today is a Ryzen 7 2700X, no shocker. We have behind me a B450 board by MSI. It's a Tomahawk series. We have, where are we at? So we have 16 gigs of RGB memory of 3000 megahertz by AData. Got that from 135, good deal. We have an RX Vega 64 Nitro Plus right there, so good stuff there. We have an AData SU650 480 gig, cheap SSD, 60 bucks, but it gets the job done. That's all I'm really interested in. I have a 3 terabyte Hitachi drive and another computer I'll be putting in as well. And we have the H500 master case, Kohler master case. So without further ado, let's get her built. It's actually a direct light. All we were going to really need for the foreseeable future is a screwdriver. I don't believe that's going to change. If it does, well, we'll improvise. So first things first, always want to get the CPU installed into the motherboard. I prefer using the top of a motherboard box. It's generally free of static there, so that's just my preference. We do have the Ryzen 7 2700X. Sorry, I have direct light on here, so it might be a little bit more difficult to see. What you want to do is there's a notch here at the bottom corner, and there's usually a notch at the bottom corner of the socket over here. You're looking for a goal or a indentation of a triangle, as there's one at the bottom corner. And what you should do is, I notice I use no force whatsoever, and it dropped right in. So that's usually what you want to focus on for that. Next, we're going to go ahead and get the CPU cooler installed. However, I'm going to make a subtle change. We're still using the same cooler, so don't need to worry about that. But we're going to clear off the thermal paste. I decided I'm going to use, right out of the gate, Thermaltake's TG7. That's what I have in the shop right now. So I'm doing that because, I mean, AMD's thermal paste is probably fine, but I just want to use the best I can so I don't have to worry about taking everything apart. And since it is fresh paste, it does come off without too much difficulty, thankfully. For the most part, I might have to try I'm about to run it over one more time. I am using 92% isopropyl alcohol. I would not recommend any less. 100% is ideal, but 92% is honestly fine. Unfortunately, it looks to be some thermal paste I've gotten some cracks, but I'm just going to leave it go. If we have problems, then we will address them when that comes up. Oh, put that retention arm down once the CPU is in place, so keep that in mind here. For Ryzen, you can follow the same line method across the middle here. Not a lot, just enough to get the job done. And that should be fine. It's a tad off center, so what I'm going to do is I am going to just try to even it out across the board here. So just doing that for the sake of simplicity here. Now first, let's go ahead and plug in the fan header. We want to make sure that any way we put it, it will reach. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. It looks like it will reach the other way, so how these work is there are retention clips on each side. So what we'll do is we have the other side clipped on, and then this has a spring mechanism built into it, and then it will attach there, and then you flip it over and she's on, she ain't going anywhere. So that's how that works. You start on this side and flip over that side. Let's go ahead and get our memory installed here. Now, some of my choices, I went budget for a reason, because I'm Steve from PC Budget Solutions. I don't want to overspend if I don't have to, so I found good quality but inexpensive RGB RAM that only had about a $5 to $10 premium over non-RGB RAM, so that was definitely important. I ended up going to Seasonic bronze power supply because it's a fine power supply, but spending an extra $30–40 on like a gold power supply to me just didn't seem like a really good well use of money, right? So that is why I made some of the decisions here that I did. We're going to put the RAM in. We're going to use slots 2 and 4. That's always has been Ryzen's thing. So that's what we will follow here. And then what you want to do is once you get it lined up, make sure the notch down here lines up. Grab from under so you're not flexing the motherboard. And then you're good to go there. And then the same thing with this one. And this is cool. So let me show you guys something here. Where is the, here it is. So this is an RGB fan, right? I'm not sure if you guys knew that. It's good to about 125 watts. Also not sure if you guys knew that as well, which makes it honestly suitable for this particular CPU unless you were looking to do something like some serious overclocking. So where is, it's hidden. So right here was something that covered it, really small. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide this in just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit the RGB header down here. What I'll probably end up doing, to be honest, is I'm probably going to leave this unplugged and actually route it basically behind the board in like this. I'll do it once it's in the case. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this plugged in and we're going to get the case up here. We're going to make a little bit of room and then we're going to go ahead and get this bad boy installed into the case. Do note that if it doesn't have an RGB header, you do have a USB header instead. Kudos AMD, giving you a lot of things for a $300 CPU, so quite happy about that. Okay, so let's get the IO shield out. Just something I probably should have done earlier. My mistake there. And I just know from looking at it how the IO shield goes in. So if you're wondering, Steve, how'd you know? Well, audio on most modern motherboards is at the bottom down here. So I see the 3 audio ports, so I pretty much know that's where it goes. Interestingly enough, this does not have any of the standoff sensors. We gotta get that installed, so we'll do that next. 2 things I want to point out. I don't know what these are yet, but there's these little things that almost look like long standoffs, but they have a screw head on the end. They're not standoffs. Second thing, the SSDs mount right here. Move this back here. Bam, 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 bam. They also can mount on drive sleds, which I took that out in the unboxing. I'm going to put on drive sleds because I don't have to worry about taking the motherboard out every time, but do note if you're running 2 regular hard drives, you're going to need to mount the SSDs next. We're skipping that step, but just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and get the motherboard down in. Standard ATX layout, and what I mean by that is 3 across the top, 3 across the middle, 3 across the bottom, evenly spaced, so you don't have to worry about that. Make sure everything matches up. Make sure nothing in the back is blocked. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've had USB ports blocked because I was careless. And what's cool is the pre-installed ones, which are here, here, and here, so up the middle, have grooves to kind of catch the board. So that makes life a lot easier. And then what we're going to do is I haven't tested this yet, so what we need to figure out is what screw goes in here. So I'm going to take a spare standoff and I'm going to gently screw something in. So that one worked perfectly fine. And we do have these weird looking like standoffs. Nope, they go all the way in, so we're definitely not good there. Then we have what I believe would be a traditional motherboard screw, so bear with me on that. Nope, that one goes all the way in too. So it's going to be the standard hex ones with the Phillips head, so that's fine. So we're going to get all these started. You definitely by no means want to screw them all the way down. It's already in place, so you don't need these to hold the motherboard in place necessarily. So I'm just kind of You should try to do it in as much of a cross pattern as possible. It's fine. Okay. Now some of these are actually screwing in pretty easy. We will double check all of them though whenever we get to that point. Just one thing to consider, I've never actually bricked a board doing this. Well, actually, I bricked a board doing other things. Just be careful, you don't want to scrape across traces with the screwdriver. I've done it on accident and I never caused any damage, but never say never. I messed up a board other ways though, so that's not a shocker. So this one I'm going to screw all the way in because that was the last one. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. 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 Good and good. They are all in. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to not drop our screwdriver on the ground for the second time in a row. Oh, okay. Wasn't sure what that was. I'm actually going to route that RGB cable I was talking about earlier down behind the board if it's possible. We're going to see if it reaches or not. And it's going to barely reach. You always want the cleanest runs possible, so that's why we're doing it. Next, we do want to take a look at this fan controller here. So this is powered from USB, or SATA rather, not USB. So I'll get you guys moved back a little bit here so you guys can see what's going on. This new battery is far from impressive. It's like, I filmed a couple short videos, it's already out. Good thing I'm charging up the other one. So, let's take a look at what we got going on here. So we're going to get that taken care of. And then the RGB header, the NP. So there's three into this, and then this goes into here. And then we're just gonna hide this, but this will then plug into SATA. So what you can do is, there's actually a second piece here. Not entirely sure what that second piece is for, off the top of my head. There's probably something coming from the front panel that plugs into here. What I'm gonna show you, it's right here. But once we find out more, we'll take a look. Oh, this one's so much better. You guys have no idea. It's only like half and it's showing 61 minutes, so the other one tops out like 100 minutes. But I digress, let's continue. So we're gonna do this as the SATA, which is gonna be listed, or no, this is, sorry, PCI Express. That'd be bad. So it looks like either way, it just says PCI Express / CPU. But I'm gonna put these on the two left, or two sides that the PCI Express is listed under. So probably not a big deal, but honestly, I'm not gonna chance it. We're gonna get the motherboard in here. Okay, cool, it is in the frame. I'm like, whoops. Oh, that's right, the motherboard's up here. So this one's weird. It has one connector in the bottom and one up top for the motherboard. So you guys can actually see down here and up here. It's weird, but it's fine. I just realized I probably plugged in CPU already on accident. I did. So I'll move this over one. Again, probably not a big deal, but it does say CPU / PCI Express. But I'm just gonna follow what's being shown there. And then because this has good dust filters in the bottom, removable nonetheless too, we're going to install it that way. Now this comes with a bag of screws, but they're not, they're silver, and I'd prefer to keep anything that can be shown black if possible. So I'm going to use the silver ones for stuff later if need be. So make sure you get it lined up. Seems to be sitting up a little bit. Power supplies almost never line up perfectly. I'm not going to say never, sometimes they do. This is the one time where sometimes you might screw in the screws a little bit further in than loose, and then go back through and just retighten them, like in this case. Good there. And the last one should be the bottom corner here. Okay, so get these tightened all the way. And voila, she's in. Actually, as much as I hate this, I am going to undo this all. Just because I want to take this and do something with it. So these need to be independent of the controller, because technically these cables have nothing to do with the controller itself. So here's the question: if we do this, these should still reach. Okay, I'm actually going to avoid doing that. I think that's a really bad idea to do that now. So let's go ahead and clean up a couple things, such as plugging in the motherboard, and then also the CPU. Then we'll get the graphics card installed, and then we will take it from there. If you guys have seen my build logs, you should know how these go in by now, hopefully. If you don't, so be it. There we go. And then the 4+4, that's always fun. Depending on what's installed, it can be tricky, so I'm actually going to show you guys that one. So this is going to come out a spot over here, so there's a lot of room, thankfully. And there looks to be enough room for me to get this in. Oh, nice. Got that in first try up top. Now we do have all the stuff over here. Okay. So this actually doesn't need an RGB header necessarily. It looks like the controller kind of does it all. Now there is another piece on the controller, so I'm wondering if that is for an RGB header of something we missed. So let's go ahead and get the graphics card installed and go from there. So it turns out that building over 600 computers, nearly 700, doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. You still make a lot of dumb mistakes. I had to undo the front panel and everything, because down here is where the power supply cable mounts. So what I'm probably going to do, let me take a look here. I want to do this. Yeah, I'm actually going to run the USB cable through that. Makes the most sense, and then I'll have to be strategic when I do the rest. So that is in. Thumb screw. There we go. So we're doing good there. Let's go ahead and get the hard drives in. So we'll do the actual hard drive first. So the cool thing is this actually, it has these little things that stick out here that will go right in the hard drive holes, so it's fine. Like I said, if you were shipping, different story, but just for personal use, it's fine. So we got that one in, and then let's get the SSD open. This is probably going to take 2 screws, I would suspect. So I'll put it this way. It's not necessarily that it's going to take 2 screws. I'm only going to use 2 screws. In a solid state drive, even with shipping, absolutely unnecessary to use 2 screws. Well, okay, maybe shipping you might, but that would be probably the only scenario where that would make any bit of sense. So let's find out what screws will work. Nope, those are too big. I'm actually gonna laugh if these fit. That's funny. These little ones that almost look like a standoff, like a mini standoff, are the ones that fit. I'll take it. Like I said, it just needs to hold it. So in the case of personal use, I don't really care as long as it works. It's the only thing that matters. And it shouldn't have clearance issues looking at these, so I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. Now what I am going to do is I am doing opposite. So while this isn't moving, you definitely don't want to do top, bottom, or one side. You definitely want to do adjacent sides. No doubt about that. Take this screw out. I kept the screw when I removed this in there. So take that screw out. And then there's a thumb screw at the front here, which we are going to slide this back, and then that tells me that's not lined up right. It's lined up. Nope, I don't like the way that's lined up personally, but okay, guess it'll work. Oh yeah, it is all the way down. Okay, we're good. And then there is one screw back here. Which I just turned by hand to get it in. It's not like I can turn all the way in by hand. So do note, this bar does come out too, so. And then we're gonna do SSD lower. The reason why is the SSD doesn't really need cooling that much. It doesn't run very hot. It will get a little bit, but this hard drive definitely does run hot. In the 40s, so that's kind of stinks, but that's unfortunately what it runs. So let's go ahead and let's one down. So let's get the graphics card. Ooh, I almost forgot about this. Oh, lovely. Somehow, some way. Oh, okay. I see what's caught. There we go. Oh, I thought the actual fan or the wire was caught. It was the twist tie that was caught in the I/O shield. So nothing, but no big deal. Nothing that, you know, I just pushed on the top of the I/O shield to give a little bit of a gap, and it was fine. So this comes, and I didn't do this in the review because I wouldn't really understand it until we got this far. But together we're going to figure out what the GPU bracket or how it gets installed. I'm quite curious because this is a heavy card, so expectation is that would be quite useful. So right on camera. Oh yeah. It's get some peel action going here. Ooh. I did it way too fast, I know. Not like my wife in that regard. She loves that stuff, but me, not so much. One thing I've noticed with this card, this is actually quite interesting. Or not the card, but the case, which I did not pick up on until just now. On the back here, where I'm showing, there's no braces between each level. It's literally just open. I'm not sure if I like that or not. I usually bend those anyway, but I don't know if I like that or not. So let's go ahead and get that bolted all the way in. Get this bolted all the way in. And then I'm gonna get this open. I'm gonna take a look, see how this works. So in your world, only a second has passed. In my world, almost an hour has passed. And there's these two longer screws back here, okay, that go in the back. And one fell in here in the feet, which do not come off. It took a while, I got it out. But it goes just like this. So it does actually cross the path of a fan, but does not impede it, so it's important to note. And while these are not secure back here, these, the two lower, whatchamacallit, breakouts for the PCI Express, they are covered. I did put them in because I didn't want a lot of like things coming in my computer. So that's done. Let's get our hard drives are in, so we're good there. I'm gonna cable it up. I'm probably not gonna show all that because I just want to get this thing on at this point. But thank you guys for staying tuned. We'll get it on shortly. Okay, let's fire up. Ooh. We have ignition. That has a lot of RGB. I definitely need a rear RGB fan. It's going to, damn it. Let's get into the BIOS here. Well, I guess I can probably plug in my, because I don't have the other hard drive plugged in, just the SSD. I've noticed that the CPU fan slows down during, I guess, load. 3.0. So this actually is front USB 2.0. It's kind of weird. What I'm curious about is memory. Interesting. It's already running at 2666. So what we're going to do is we're going to, nope, no, I want advanced OC. Let's just go for it. Oh, it's already running profile 1. So let's go with profile 2 and see if it posts. But that's cool that's already running at that speed. Now, we'll see what this does. Most likely lose power and not come back on. But we shall see. That's an interesting sign. There's a wow, we have posts already. Oh, you missed it, but it's on. You can trust me on that. Yep, see? So that is indeed interesting. So of course I don't have a mouse because stupid me apparently never plugged in the mouse. Yep, the mouse is not plugged in. There we go. For a second I thought it froze up, but there she is. She's on. She's working. I have a couple things to clean up, a couple things I'm not particularly happy with, but she's on. She's working. Gonna game on it tonight. But yeah, that's it. Well, it's running. It's loading Windows. I got messed with the RGB a little bit, get it all in sync, but it's done. And you guys seem to, for the most part, like my build logs. My last one, the basic computer, got like 700 or 800 in a couple weeks. So hopefully you guys do like it. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. That does dictate if I do more of these or not. Leave a comment, comment in the comment section rather. And I guess I'll put some Amazon links. I really need to mention that. I get paid on those, so that's kind of nice, but you don't have to. But if you do want to help out, that is a way to help me out. As always though, this is Steve from PC Budget Solutions, and I will see you all later on down the road.